kind of charge my brush a little bit. And what this is going to be the beginning stages of is softening the edges of my tree. Shadow side. Now I'm going to use a very, very light touch. I'm going to use a very light touch, and I'm going to soften the edge of this tree. Now again, I'm doing the best I can to do a short little stroke. Now I am showing you what took me years to learn. I'm showing you what took me years to learn because I had nobody to teach this to me. He only talked. I had to glean from what he said to get the lesson. All right, now soften some of these now. Now I'm going to come over here to we'll short little strokes. It may be just a 64th of an inch long. Now this is not the finished tree, but what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up so that when we come back with what I call step 2, the finishing is just a piece of cake. We exaggerate some of the lights, some of the darks, and then we have it. We're done with our tree. Of course, we need to put our stems in and so on. Now this is the beginning stages here, and I'm going to show you a little bit more. We're not done, and I don't want you to break and run yet. Here, and I'm going to go back and return now to some of the light areas. And I'm going to restate some of the shadows that automatically would be existing in these light areas. So there'd be little subtle shadows in a few of these light areas. On these undersides, there'd be some shadow in here. So you want to reintroduce those shadows where you know that there would be some. A shadow underneath here probably, because we're thinking three-dimensional forms. I'm going to take some white and some turquoise and a little bit of this red, and what happens is in these really dark areas you want to break up some of those really dark areas with some of these cool colors, because there's oil in leaves. These leaves each have a certain amount of oil in them. Well, the oil operates a little bit like a mirror. So in these dark, dark areas, not so much in the light, but in these dark, dark areas, there's going to be portions of leaves that are going to be reflecting the color of the sky that's outside the picture. Right? So now, in these really, really dark areas, and I'm going to put a really, really dark area right here. This is in the underside of the tree there. Boom, really dark. In these really dark areas like this, it's good to break them up a little bit with this kind of a mixture of turquoise and a little touch of red in them. It makes those shadows sparkle. All right? And now, for purposes of just demonstration, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and just suggest the structure, the structure of the tree just a little bit, because I've got the color here and I want you to see how I do that. And I'm going to go to a slightly smaller brush. Now, I've done this entire painting with that number 8 brush. Okay, one brush, one big brush, boom, all right? Now I'm going to go to a slightly smaller brush, thinking in terms of the structure of the tree. Now, here's my real dark green. So I'm going to use that pool. I'm going to add burnt sienna and blue. And this is going to be my beginning color for my tree trunks. I don't want it to be just too dark. All right. So I get a nice dark gray. And let's see, I'm going to put this back over here. So now, where would I see tree trunkness? Well, I would probably see some tree trunkness in here. So you may want to start with a vertical or a stroke, but you don't want to stay there. You want to use a kind of a horizontal or a diagonal flick of the wrist for the structure of your tree. So I'm going to I'll put a little bit of a tree right here, tree trunk right there. And you don't need an awful lot of these limbs, because the limbs, it only takes a little bit. Only a little bit of information, and then the viewer's eye puts in the rest. Okay? So now I'll start with that, and now I'm going to go to a really small brush and finish this off out here in the extremities. And here, it's somewhere in the painting, it's good to show, and this would be probably a good place to do it, a dead branch. There you have it. Okay. Now, when you have these darks in here, it's always good to include an area where a little bit of light gets through. And the way you do that is to take some white and some of that dark color and a touch of orange. That's going to be too dark. So we're going to throw some light in here now. Now, almost invariably, somebody says, well, what kind of tree is it? And I say, it's a Houglum tree. That's what I've been telling you all along. It could be a poplar tree. It could be a this. It could be a that. But the short answer is it's a Houglum tree. Okay, a little bit of light got through there. A little bit of light, field of dark. Okay. Now that will be enough for now, except for on these trees, towards the back edge of these trees, it's good to show somewhat of a reflected light coming back, and that's usually kind of a purple, a blue or a purple, where there's a reflected light on the back side of a tree trunk, say like right in here. Good to put a little bit of a backlight on that. Okay? Good to put the kind of detail that you'd expect over here. I mean, bears have been here, and they tore this stuff up. After all, this is North Carolina. Maybe a little branch, you know, something over here, something leaning back. Now, since we've done the three-dimensional stuff, we might come now with a little bit of this light stuff, a little touch of the raw sienna. Put a few variations back over here. Just a little variation, a little deep burnt sienna down towards the edge of the woods. Okay? So there you have it. There's the Houglum tree.